Hey folks, good morning. It's a beautiful day. Just finished my first errand of the day and it was good and quick. So I'm glad. So, one of the things that really makes me wonder about people is when people understand the functional concept of law and order and a case goes through trial and the evidence is present and people knows the issue and everything else, but the punishment of the individual is something one people need to wonder. It's important to be proactive to the understanding of that case. This this situation came up in what I was doing, and I saw an article that I had to read. What amazes me is that people talk so much about situations that even the prosecutor agrees this individual needs to be in jail. Even the judge agrees. But the punishment based on the crime was reduced because this individual is has never been charged. Understandable. Is the pinnacle of the community, of values and things like that. Understandable. But the crime itself is horrendous and heinous. It affects a child or children. So the punishment, even for me studying law and studying everything that understands the conceptual value of ethics, one has to wonder what promulgated the judge to reduce a years of 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 jail time to something else. Way, even for the perspective of law and order, the punishment was very lenient to a big degree. I wanted to share this because it really amazes me and makes me angry, because it really irritates me when someone who did a criminal act that's heinous, that affects a child or children, is given a lenient sentence. But even the evidence and the prosecutor noted that the punishment should be years in jail, but just given a less than, let's just say, applicable time in jail. There was no challenge of the attitude of the individual, but the punishment should have been questioned by the community. And somebody asked me, if this situation happened to your family, as a victim's family, what would you react? I said, first of all, I would. I don't know personally if there was an impact statement from the family. That's one of the things that, as an advocate, I always support, and I always encourage families to do an impact statement if it affects someone in their family or even within themselves. Because the impact statement is a valuable aspect that helps people and the court understand how that crime impact them, especially if it impacts a child. I feel impact statements is more than value, it's a necessity in today's world. But this case itself just violates every functional and moral foundation that I believe very truly needs to be re-examined. So my question to you guys, is cases of a child that involves a child, especially that's heinous to the ethical and moral sense. Should society look at that case much closely within the legal parameters? And should impact statement be a paramount part of that aspect? Excuse me. Because for me, hearing that the crime itself involved children and this individual is given a lenient sentence, even the prosecutors agree that this individual should be in jail for years, instead get limited time, that becomes an issue for me in a sense of questionable decisive point. Just because a person is a pinnacle of society, never got in trouble, and this individual has a functional part that reflects the community, should that kind of person be given leniency? The answer is no. And for me, like I said, I don't know. I did my research. I don't know if there was an impact statement done, but any criminal act that is horrendous enough that affects children, the community should start wondering and questioning what's the ethical and moral foundation of the decision, part of that pertinent aspect. The way the judge stated is that the individual doesn't deserve these years of time in jail because the individual is, again, someone that did nothing wrong for years, but is also a esteemed member of the community. But for me, having someone do something so heinous that involves a child or children should never be put into a situation where that individual doesn't pay the punishment of more than certain months in jail versus the legal aspect of whatever years in jail. And even the prosecutor agreed that that individual deserves more than the years the time he was given. He should have received the maximum time. So the question for you is that how would you reflect or act if a case like this involved your family? Because I personally have said to a couple of friends of mine, I felt like cases like this has become so prominent, where victims are re-victimized and the individuals who are the the individuals in cases and in what do you call it, being investigated, are fighting back because they're so prominent in the society or community that people are defending these individuals versus protecting and fighting for the victims. For me as an advocate, it's getting sick, and I'm sick about it overall. So what do you think? Situation Situational crime where it involves a child or a minor or even an elderly, where crimes is prominent and their evidence is already prominent and the court even agrees. Do you feel that justice has become questionable, where what do you call it, victims are re-victimized because it seems that in many cases where children and elderly are involved, the victims are still victims because the system is imbalance. So give me your, if you feel I'm right, and if you feel I'm wrong, give me a hit. But for now, you take care, you stay safe, and of course, enjoy what life brings, enjoy what life provides to you and your family, and keep smiling and keep charging. Stay safe, guys.